There's so many dimensions. We are more dimensional, multidimensional. And
Yes.
I even know human beings who are not living only in these 3, 4 dimensions. And it's like we are part of a much bigger universe, a spiritual universe, beyond the physical.
Mm.
So it means, so working for humanity is important here because we have the duty to be on this planet. So it's not only about humanity. Humanity is like this planet, but there are many other planets. So we are here, so let our work be here.
Yes.
But at the same time, I know that we are much more than this.
This is the podcast to restore your faith in humanity. Once giraffe heroes, we now call our participants guardians of humanity. Courageous, tireless workers for the common good. May each of them inspire you to follow in their tracks and contribute your own part to a just society and a healthy environment. Welcome to another episode of the podcast to restore your faith in humanity. Today we have the honor of having with us a very special guest called Sundar Robert Dreyfus, the founder of Unity Center Schwalbenalb, an oasis of inspiration in the heart of Switzerland, a place of power at 1,100 meters above sea level in the midst of nourishing nature. This working and living community is a field of action for a holistic change of consciousness. Sundar Robert Dreyfus studied medicine, and today he freely combines his interest in holistic healing and spirituality with the findings of conventional medicine. We're looking forward to having an engaging talk about the Indian Vedanta, about some of the renowned personalities he met in his life, about the center he runs, and the teachings in which he is involved. Welcome, Sundar Robert Dreyfus. How should I address you?
Just call me Sundar, that's good.
Sundar. Well, welcome, Sundar, to this podcast. May I start with a very simple question?
Please go ahead.
Yes.
How was your day up till now? What did you do?
Yes, I had a good day. Yes, very nice morning. My wife and myself, we have some time. I live partly on Schwalbenalb, and then I'm a lot also near Munich, where my wife lives at the Starnberger See. And so actually, when I'm here, I'm even more in retreat, although I'm living here in a little town, because I have nobody needs anything from me. And so I had a nice day today. It was starting with meditation as actually usual. This is how my day starts, with meditation and also with some physical exercise always actually. And then I slowly start into the day, taking care of everything which has to be taken care of and contacts, and yeah, it's a normal but very nice day.
Okay, but you are surrounded by your family.
I'm surrounded by my wife. No, my family, I would say my children are in Switzerland, my grandchildren, and the larger spiritual family is all over the planet. But I am here with my wife, and we are a very good couple. We have a very nice time together because we are both very radically on that path.
Mm.
Okay. So you talk about a radical path. Now, from what I understand, is that you have a very broad path. That your field of interest is very large, and that you were raised in a Jewish tradition in the town of Basel, and that this is still important to you, I believe, or the being based in this rich tradition is something that still preoccupies you, no?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it preoccupies me. You know, traditions have a lot to do with culture and with history, and so with this whole human story, which is part. And but what we are is something eternal, something much more spiritual, really. So I mean, I really had a nice basis, and I'm very grateful for that basis. But honestly speaking, my family was not a spiritual family, not even a religious family. I'm coming from a post Second World War Jewish family, um, who are not believing in a deeper spiritual message,
I,
but who are culturally involved in being Jewish people. So I went through learning the basics of Hebrew, and I must say that the story, the Old Testament, is deeply in me. And later I was looking at the question: should I live in Europe or should I live in Israel? After the Second World War, this was a question we all posed ourselves. And actually, then and I learned Hebrew then in Israel. I was a year in Israel, and learning Hebrew was for me very central. I mean, my school bringing up was Latin and Greek and French and Italian and English, all this, and a lot of things. But then the Hebrew was really a very important experience, because this is really a language very close to the light language, and with an incredible energy. So this was very important. But then, actually, after the Six-Day War, where I was in Israel, it became clear to me that my life is not to be a Jew or not to be a Jew, to be in Israel, but my life is there for humanity. And so
Yeah.
that was a decisive, very important decision at 20 or so, that my life is humanity and my life is not Judaism or Israel or one nation.
Are you by any chance related to the famous Alfred Dreyfus?
Maybe very far. We have no direct name, but it's also that family with Y and one S, and it's
yes.
also actually Alsatian Jews. So it's that
Yeah.
yes, but not directly. No.
Oh, okay. So you say that you very soon discovered that you were drawn towards a human and humanitarian approach. Now you first studied medicine.
Yes, I studied medicine at the same time I studied yoga. So it was like I did both. So I very soon, I mean, you know, we're speaking 1969, 1970. We are in the big revolution of youth. We are in the Paris upheavals, and we are in the psychedelic and hippie revolution. This has been a and this has been very important to me. So for me, the question was, do I go a political path of changing the world, or do I go an other path? And at that point, it was not yet the spiritual path, but it was clearly it was the New Age path. It was the decision for a psychedelic revolution.
Yeah.
And so I became actually part of that consciousness and psychedelic revolution more. And so I started very early doing yoga. Actually, I do now yoga since 55 years. This is something which is just part of me. And so I started very early to get into learning of meditation and of looking also towards the East, towards China, towards India, even further than Israel even. So like, you know, the upbringing as a European was then up to Istanbul. There was no world after Istanbul. So, you know, even going to Israel was the first step, and seeing the Near East, and then moving in my consciousness towards the wisdom of China and mainly India and Tibet was actually a very important step, which very early took place.
So that first,
After
the first interest was,
after my medical studies, I directly went to India to study Buddhism,
ah,
and so I was for some years deeply into Vipassana and into the Buddhist philosophy, into Buddhist practice.
Yes, and you refer to this practice as Sanatana Dharma. Now, most people know this as Hinduism. Am I right?
Yes, Sanatana Dharma means like the eternal law. That's what it means. Sanatan, eternal law. They say this is the tradition which is before all traditions. They don't even refer to Hinduism by it because Hinduism is how we call it. But for them, it is so many different spiritual paths. India is the one country which includes Christ, includes Sikhism, includes Jainism, includes more dualist and non-dualist Hindu way. So the word Hinduism is really a bad word, really, because it's all religions are there, and it is some are more based on ritual, some are more based on the relationship to the guru. Some are more philosophical. The Upanishads have a very different view of thing than parts of the Vedas. So this is all in a very big and huge spiritual frame, which is not separate. And separate, it's all in one. So that's why it's not like in the West, where Judaism separates from Christianity, separates from Islam, separates from whatever they want. So that whole divide et impera,
Yeah, divide and rule.
and rule,
Yes.
Roman,
Mhm.
Roman, German, American, British, this whole separation as basis of all thinking, which followed Aristoteles. I don't say it was Aristoteles, but that whole separation is not what India brought. India brought unity before all, inclusive.
Yeah.
Now, I don't say that India was separate from the rest of the world. So they got into the dualists, they got into the caste system. They were not all on the same level of rishis. They got into caste system. They got into suppression of the female. So these are things which are global then. So
Mhm.
we have global problems of evolution of consciousness, and we have continental and cultural, all this. Wherever that separative thought comes in, things start to go down.
Well,
And always, as soon as technology, intellect, male side gets stronger than female side, intuitive side, the lopsidedness of a culture starts, which usually ends in its self-destruction.
Yes, but even Christianism has a part in the tradition of Hinduism. Well, if in India you can see people practice both beliefs in one, not only in one household, but in one person even, no?
Oh yes, it doesn't. It's not separate. No.
Mhm.
And so you went there very in after your studies. You went to India.
Yeah, I mean, I actually tried to go to India already in 1969 when I had started yoga. And then on the way in Persia, I had this accident, a car accident, and I had big operations. I had to go back to Switzerland. But then my second venue to India in 73 started with Vipassana Buddhist meditation and practicing that for years, and also really integrating the three the Eightfold Path and the whole Buddhist philosophy and Abhidhamma. So this was actually for me after medical studies and after having gone through that whole. Also, I mean, I shouldn't say no words about the psychedelic. The psychedelic was important at the time in the early 70s. I was a close friend with Timothy Leary and with Ram Dass at that time, and so who had been in Switzerland, and so I really had a big. It was an important way of clearing, of opening, of freeing myself. But I had many friends who also lost their path and lost their mind, and it is not a safe journey if you
No,
don't do it with low doses.
it's a
And so
pillar.
I was very fortunate in that, but also that had also important, I would say, initiative parts like seeing through the veils of our superficial world, of
Yeah.
a materialist reality.
And was it immediately after your first journey in India in that you met Haida Khan Babaji?
No. In my first voyage to India in 1973, 74 was only in the context of Buddhist meditation
Yes.
and traveling and going to Auroville, seeing the grave of the mother, uh, connecting with many old temples and all this, and Sri Lanka, and meeting Buddhist monks there. No, it is like after several years of uh, being on the path of Vipassana, actually, I went through I was having my own practice, doing like having an institute for psychosomatic medicine. I had learned in the United States after my doctorate, after having finished medical school, I had gone into Gestalt therapy and body therapies. So this whole existential humanistic and transpersonal aspect of psychology was the one I chose. Even though I had gone through Freudian and Jungian analysis, I didn't choose that path mainly for my work with people, but for my work as a psychiatrist or psychotherapist or both. I chose naturally as a basic, you have to know what is the whole psychiatry background, but then my methods of therapy were based on humanistic and transpersonal psychotherapy. And so with this in my, this was kind of my work, and I got then into a deep inner crisis, like we call it the deep night of the soul. And I took 2 3 years of very, I mean, outside I was functioning, but a very deep crisis. And in that crisis, towards the end, I saw a picture of Mahavatar Babaji, of Herakan Baba at that moment. And this really touched me deeply, my heart. And so I connected. Yeah, I dreamt also and connected. And then he invited me to come. So that in 79 spring, for the first time, I went to meet Herakan Babaji in India.
Because he has been very, very important for your work in up till today. I understand that he is the one who asked you to found Schweibenalp. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say not only important for my work. I think it was like I really, uh, I really moved from a more meditative or I I became a devotee. I started the path of bhakta,
Mm,
devotion, um, caught me.
mm,
I got into that love relationship with the divine through a master, and this actually has formed my way completely. So devotional practice and service is kind of the basis of my yoga
yeah.
nowadays. So I can say that really formed me completely and gave a completely different picture, which is less on logic or on philosophy, but on the heart.
Yes, because if when I Google you, I or even Schweibenalp, I mostly stumble into, well, about you there is very little. You hardly give interviews, or not like we do, like a video interview. It's quite rare, and I don't have the impression that you are so much into teaching as into this bhakti approach. I see of Schweibenalp when you go live, I see all this chanting and dancing.
Yes, Stevie, yes. Yes, it is. You see, it is a direct way. I mean, Shiva and Krishna both asked about the different path to awakening, path to liberation. Will give you 108 different paths and methods. And then Shakti asks, or Radha asks, yeah, and what is the path to devotions? Oh, there is no path. It's grace. It's like either you get it or you don't. And it's like it's a direct path. They all say it's a direct path. Um, I must say, it is like all path work, a lot of work, all path to the divine, to the liberation are a lot of work and a lot of inner work.
Yeah.
But I must say, I teach a lot, and I have been teaching a lot in the last 20, 30 years. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've been teaching very different things because with that broad view I have, I will give a Easter retreat on the Christ. I will give a Kabbalist retreat because I am working. When I met Babaji the same year, I met a great woman, Dr. Dina Rees, and she was kind of our shaman, our divine mother, our friend, and she supported my wife then and me, supported us to create Schwalbenalb. And I met Dr. J.J. Hertak and Desir Hertak from the Keys of Enoch, Academy for Future Science, which brought me back into my Kabbalist roots. So actually, I am going very. For me, it's the totality of creation, the totality of the spiritual world and this world, which interests me, and
Yeah.
not just one sector. And
Okay.
so actually, I teach also Kabbalah. I teach also the Course in Miracles. It's like it doesn't really matter what.
Mhm.
And
What.
who are the people you teach to? Is there do you see that there is a new interest amongst young people, or are that people your age?
This is an interesting question, but you're jumping now very much at. I mean, as I was always working also as a psychotherapist, I also combined therapy with teaching. I never believed that 1 hour of therapy is enough against the whole neurosis somebody brings along. So you need to give some spiritual practice. You have to give some design. So I was designing spiritual practice in that terms in personalized spiritual practice.
Mm.
And so I was also teaching either people who came for therapy or people who came to Schwalbenalb. Uh, I had a course up. I also did a lot of breathing therapy, rebirthing, and all this work. So it it has been of all ages. In the beginning, and when I started in the 30s, it was people of my age. Then they grew older with me, and now they are much younger. I have to say that we have now at Schwalbenalb, and I'm very proud about this, many, many young people who really love to come there, not only as volunteers, also as members. And so actually, this is something we really are happy about.
Bravo, bravo! Because to reach youth is something that a lot of people of your and my generation are desperate about.
Yes.
We feel that we have lost them and that they have lost us, and
Yes.
we don't have any hope for them to find a way, and they seem not to have a hope for the planet to survive, even for humanity to survive. I believe that you have your own very positive approach towards the future of humanity.
Yes.
Is
I
that true?
mean, I don't think, I just maybe you've seen that message to the world which I
No,
wrote
no, I
end
haven't.
end of the year.
No.
End of the year, we always look back and then we look forward. And when I looked forward on 31st, there was kind of impulse to do something. So I wrote something which I maybe will put out in the internet. And because I had this little film coming in by the Kogi Indians. You know who the Kogi Indians from Colombia are. It's a very, very old Indian tribe, about 5, 10, 20,000 people, who since 4,000 years in Colombia, on all levels, from the sea to up to the mountains, have a culture which is unaltered in 4,000 years. It was a non-corrupted priesthood. 4,000 years, non-corrupted priesthood. Never heard of something.
No.
And it's all based on always giving back. Whatever you take a stone, you put something back. You eat something, you put it. So it's very special, very special. And these Kogi Indians, who now are quite known and famous, slowly, these Kogi Indians, they put out a message that the divine Earth, Mother Earth, gave them this message. They say, and it says like, okay, I'm going to really be tough in short time. I cannot stand it anymore. It doesn't work, you know. It's not against you guys, but you know, I'm going to shake even more. And I think it's shaking already well enough. But so please, you need to change your consciousness in the next half a year or year, otherwise things are going really bananas here on the planet. So wherever this comes from, you know, from the Kogi, from Mother Earth, whatever, the message got me again, like always. And so I made this message where I would ask everyone to pray every morning and every evening. Just a simple prayer like, may all human beings be protected. May all human beings be in peace. May all human beings be united. May all human beings be blessed. May all human beings be happy. And like collect a few billion people praying that every morning and every evening, which many more known people than I have tried. And so it's like naive and nice. But anyway, so this is what I was doing a little bit after Christmas. And how did I come to that? I was
Well, my question was your faith in humanity, and I did see a little movie, an interview with you in which you say that you believe that a very special future is bound to come for humanity.
yes. Yes, I mean, I don't know who, I think nobody knows. And I can only say the main teachers I had, like Babaji and the Keys of Enoch, Dr. Hertak, they always say it's going to be a very big change on the planet. But nobody says the change of the planet is only because of us, and because it's like it is part of a galactic and of a cosmic change which happens. And part of it naturally on this planet is also our misbehavior, our violence with each other. I mean, I see humanity as in a quarantine, and even the planet in a quarantine versus the rest of the galactic confederation, because we are such a violent species at the moment. And however this came about and however it may change, my interest and my dedication is, you see, my dedication is double. I believe that on the spiritual path, you have two pillars. One pillar is working on yourself, is one pillar, 50%, inner work, developing that tool we are, that physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual tool to become really a light being and be able to contribute more and on a better. And the other 50% is serving humanity, serving the planet. And I think people who only serve the planet and are not looking at themselves, they will lose themselves in a way and also not see their shadow and all this. And people who are only into working on the planet, they will lose the spirit and the awareness of the higher worlds and our subtle reality. We are subtle beings who are visiting the planet.
Mm.
We are subtle beings, we are light beings, we are spiritual beings visiting this planet. And in a body of this planet, yeah, we are wearing the water and the fire and the earth and the
Yeah.
air. It's all in our, I call it our bio outfit. Yes, in
Yes.
this bio outfit, we are functioning as a spiritual material hybrid. I think that the human experience can be marvelous. I mean, I can only say life on this planet is for many people bothersome and a lot of suffering, but also it can be gorgeous and I mean, in so many aspects. The experience of being a human being is a tremendous challenge, but also a tremendous chance.
Mm.
Uh,
Yes.
so that's why also it feels so crazy that right now where we have for the first time a global communication system and a global community possibility, global consciousness capability, it is all going down the drain. It's like very interesting that the forces of destruction and the forces of
Upheaval.
of going upwards are really at the same time,
Mm.
which really, in my understanding, of the teachings I had, has to do with a strong layer of dark archons, dark forces uh, on the lower spiritual planes,
Mm.
who really don't appreciate that the human being should flourish into its divine future.
Mm.
So as we are ourselves also both inner and outer, and we also have our dark shadow and light aspects, this strengthens those human beings who are going down the ladder, and not only those who go up the ladder. But there is also a very big group of souls, millions, who are going up the Jacob ladder and who are moving towards the angelic, moving towards the master, moving towards the love, because it's only about love. And the whole story is only about love. I can let all the other words aren't important.
Yes.
The only
That's why
thing I
you are
need to
called
say is
center of
life is
unity.
about love. Existence is about love.
That's why you are called the center of unity at Schweibenalp. Yes,
Yes.
because unity is love.
Yes, this is why I'm called Sundar, because this means beauty or beauty of the heart. It's Tiferet.
Good you mention it. I meant to ask what it meant.
Yeah, it means beautiful, but not in the sense of a beautiful outside. It's like the aspect of beauty is like, of learning how to really open the heart flower.
Yes.
And
Now
that
we
was actually, on my first experience on psychedelic, on the real, it was like my first experience as 20-year-old. There is nothing but love. Nothing matters. Everything else is secondary or tertiary creation. We
Mm.
can call it fallen or bad. I just call it secondary as soon as it's separate. And then all constructions of worlds and mind and science is necessary. But the first creation is just that love, that living in a simple, loving way, you know.
When we talk about saving the planet, I see that you have a firm belief and a great devotion towards all mankind. You mentioned your morning prayer, like protect all humans. How do we see the rest of living creatures on this planet? Because I personally, I do believe that all life is sacred.
Yes. Yes. So I agree with you that all life is sacred, but actually all creation is sacred because it comes all out of that mysterious divine intention and divine creation. So we are all part of this incredible mystery of living, I say living in God, and God living in us. So there's no way out. Like in the Psalm 139, you can go to the end of the world, there is God. You can go in or outside. Everywhere is God, goddess. I call it God, goddess, yes? So everywhere is sacredness. Only the human mind can stop the sacredness and can do as if it's not sacred and play pure materialism or negative, can play all these other things. So it is the human being can program itself out of existence. We are like experimental creations by the divine, and we have everything to become ourselves highly divine creative beings.
Mhm.
For that, the divine needed to give us freedom, a freedom which the ant and the elephant don't have. In this freedom, we can also divert from the divine and say no and destroy ourselves and separate. This is going with the image and similitude of the divine is the freedom, and that freedom gives the shock, gives the risk.
Mhm.
So when we are aware of the sacredness, then and we live according to that, then everything is fine. But for me, it is important if we look at the world and humanity, not to close it off. You know, there's this lovely medieval paintings of the world, and the one who puts the head out. You know,
Have the head out, yeah, yeah. Out of the
out of the,
yeah.
you know,
And he's
and
in
it's
the
like
stars.
there's so many dimensions. We are more dimensional, multi-dimensional, and
Yes.
I even know human beings who are not living only in these 3-4 dimensions. And it's like we are part of a much bigger universe, a spiritual universe, beyond the physical.
Mm.
So it means, so working for humanity is important here because we have the duty to be on this planet.
Yes,
But the work
but the
is also for
yeah.
the cleanliness of thought and everything. So it's not only about humanity. Humanity is like this planet, but there are many other planets. So we are here, so let our work be here.
Yes.
But at the same time, I know that we are much more than this. We are part of that mysterious, incredible cosmic.
Yes, yes, and
world.
one has to be stupid not to see that there is much more, because there is much more out there that we can see. If you only the Hubble gave us a peek into that, and now the James Webb, and if you go into your heart, you probably see much more. But
Yeah.
but the terrible misconception about humanity is that if we want to protect humanity, and we are 8 billion people on this planet, and if the focus is always onto protecting people, we are outruling all other life forms, we will end up being alone and dying alone. And of course there is only love. I agree with that. Even that path is not the path of destruction. But on the other hand, how can we inform people to be more modest, to be more more disciplined into worshiping nature and not only worshiping our own progress?
Yeah, it means that human beings must have satisfaction with their spiritual experience
Mhm.
and not only with the materialist experience.
Mm.
If we have more insight into our spiritual identity and into the relativity of our human identity, our 80 years or whatever, if we are more identified with our eternal being and with then we might become more modest again. I think there's many reasons for that. Partly they are negative in terms of greed and jealousy and all this, and partly also it's our memory of living in a light world where whatever we imagine is there automatically, and human beings really believe they only have to think it and it comes, and it really is that way. I mean, creation happens through the coming together of spirit and energy, like Shiva and Shakti, come together, the consciousness and the energy. Whoops, you have the car. Whoops, you have the planet. So it's like we also are very blind and naive in a way. And whenever, I said it before, whenever we get faster technical, faster intellectual, then intuitive, female, then spiritual, then we tip over a civilization and it self-destroys itself. It's just quite simple. And then once it happens, it's quite difficult to stop it. The Mayas, the Romans, as soon as then you have this administrative and violence and all this, as soon as power comes in and the separation comes in, it seems that this planet is very dense at the time in a Kali Yuga. You know what I'm talking about? In a Kali Yuga, in an Iron Age, and then the belief in this density is so, and the illusion is so that you go more and more into this density. So I don't know yet how. I just know that there are also millions of people evolving another consciousness. I think of starting with Blavatsky and starting with Aurobindo, starting with so many Indian and also Christ-oriented New Age the last 50, 100 years. So there is a movement into the consciousness, and all these souls, they will realize another five-dimensional reality, another. So we don't have to fear for anyone, because anyone will either dissolve and get into astral world to learn. We all get what we sow. We seed and we harvest. So I don't believe, but still our compassion for the simple suffering of our neighbor and the animals is an important engine, although even when we are not in the illusion of that's the real thing. I mean, think of the Bhagavad Gita, of Arjuna standing with Krishna there, and Krishna saying, "No, I cannot fight against my uncle. I cannot fight." And he says, "Against whom are you fighting? Is there an uncle? What do you see there? This is bodies. We are souls. Important is our love. Important is our loyalty. Important is our strength, but I believe that as a mortal, simple being, my duty is to be modest and help where I can.
And is that the bhaktis, that the worship you discovered for Haida Babaji, that made you so modest?
I don't know if I'm modest, but anyway, I'm just normal. I think what Babaji only spoke about very few things. He was not, Herakan Baba is identical with Mahavata Babaji of Yogananda. This is the same. We can talk of something like an office of the Mahavatars, where the Christ is, where the Buddha is, where Babaji is, where these big forces of Shiva and Krishna and these forces, they are there, but they're as this is for me on the 14th to the 21st chakra. And this realm is for me in us. This is not outside us. And this is never dying. These beings, they are always, and they are also not separate from us. And also they are not separate from each other. It's like my right eye and my left eye, they see together one word. My two ears hear together one sound, although they are two ears. And so Shiva and Shakti or Krishna, and they are all not separate. And then different cultures bring different names. So this is all one and all many, because the many and the one is not in a contradiction. It is one of the big mysteries. You have the many and the one at the same time. So this is, I mean, we are just fortunate, to have all these things. So for me, yes, Babaji taught to live in truth, simplicity, and love. That's what he said, which is Sat Chitananda. And he also said to work constantly for humanity and for the planet, selflessly. Karma yoga, he said, is the yoga of this time, because very difficult to meditate, very difficult for all this in this time. And he said to always repeat the name of God. And to always, I translate that, to always be aware of our divine nature.
Yes.
Always be in touch with the divinity. So he said, the best combination, while working, be aware of the divine, of the sacredness of outside and the sacredness. So this was my education by him, to really be focused on that. Not every month, not every week, not every day, not every hour, all the time. So this is where we create in us a consciousness.
Yeah.
So while we are having this conversation, you are meditating.
That's why I spoke about radical spirituality in my first sentence. Radical spirituality, isn't it? Do a little bit of yoga, do a little bit of good eating, of nice things, and then forget again. No, radical spirituality for me to create that conscious awareness as a constantly in us chanting, a constant chanting, a constant awareness in us, and to become that.
And you never find yourself angry anymore? Really, like shouting and cheering?
Very rarely. It takes a lot.
Yes.
Very rarely. And then it will be more a game, because sometimes you have to create your boundary. If people really go over your boundary, you have to create that boundary.
Yes.
And that respect, to your responsibility. Like, I very much gave too many boundaries on Schwalbenrad for many years, so that it couldn't go its path. And I learned to say, yes, I say what's going on, or something like that, But no, I am not a saint.
No.
I am very human being. I get angry very rarely. Yes, very rarely. I mean, but better ask me, do you never get sad?
Well, there you have a question. Yes.
This is, naturally, as long as we have a human body and we have hormones which go up and down, and we have a toothache, and we are also human. And so this is kind of the part which is there. So we also have karma, and we also have tendencies, and family tendencies and all these things. So it's not, but we can become more and more free of it, and more aware of it, and less playing it out.
And if I come to Schwalbenalb, what is it exactly that I will experience there?
How do I know? It's like with Babaji always. Everybody something else. Babaji would sit there would be 500 people there, and everybody had a different experience, because it's a pure mirror. Babaji was not a person. I never saw a person. The mirror for each of us. You might first get elated because of the light, the energy, because, in 40 years of these practices we did there, in these pujas we did there, and these fires, naturally, a field has emerged, a strong field of energy. So people who come feel that field. It's a power place. It's a pilgrimage. So you will feel that. And after some time, you will feel also the shadow.
Okay, I will rephrase my question. What activities do you propose at Schwalbenalb?
Okay, it is like this. Schwalbenalb is a community of about 25 people with about 10 to 25 volunteers, which is all over the year there and has gone coming and going and changes. And the basis of the community is the spiritual practice and New Age consciousness. Like we are like a crossing point of the eternal and of the new. And so you meet us, you will meet the people in the circle every morning. Not everybody in the circle, and the circle will have a song, and the circle will remind of the love and remind of why we're here, and we'll deal with the day and what's going on. And it will be mostly a very beautiful thing. And you have the temple, and in the temple there is every morning, every evening ritual, singing, meditation, or there is fires. So you will have that too, and you'll have in the evenings also, and more also other celebrations. You'll have other spiritual celebrations go on, other meditations go on, dancing going on, uh, 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 sacred pipe. How do you say the sweat lodge? Many. All different traditions are welcome and are practiced again and again. In the 40 years, many changes again and again in this and that side. And you will have a seminar center of which we live. And this seminar center has all year long seminars, people coming and going. Then we have the volunteer program, which is people who want to come and stay longer and not as guests for so long or can't afford. They come for 2 weeks to 1 year as a volunteer, and they have 30 hours of work a week. They live together. They have also their communal reality. And that's actually a very strong transformational program where many young people come, but also elder people, like at the change of their, position in life after the first professional story or after the second professional story or in a crisis. And the field will nourish them and the field will carry them through in their transformational path. Then we have the permaculture, like the whole place is a permaculture place. Besides the power places, we have a permaculture there, and this permaculture is going on mainly from spring to fall, naturally, where we have also 5 departments. We have the department of growing plants, trees, and all this. Nursery. We have a herbery which produces lots of herbs for sale. We have the vegetable bees and mushrooms, and we have the seed department, and we have the school, the permaculture school, where people go to go. So all this is going with each other, chantings, full moon, new moon. So this is what's going on, and sometimes more quiet, and sometimes very alive.
Yes.
Okay, well, I wish I was there now because it seems like a very warm and welcoming place.
Dimitri, I would very be happy to say hello to you this summer sometime, huh?
Well,
Come by.
we might meet. Yes, yes. I think we should meet. So let's conclude this podcast unless there is some other message that you want to give to our listeners. Something that I haven't asked and that you think is really worthwhile, worth telling.
Yeah, maybe to say something that there's not only the devotional path, it's like Der geistige Weg is another word than the spiritual part. I mean, there's so many ways which are more focused on life itself, without form even, with no word for God, with no word. There's pathless paths. It is not so easy to go a pathless path as it is not so easy to go a path without having a teacher, alive or not, like Christ or like. So there is also a pathless path, and there is a path where you find everything in yourself. So there's so many ways, and there's no judgment in me or what is the way to go. And this is also reflected on Schwalbenart, that people are not asked to come and pray with us. What they understand now is that if we do it together, the singing, we are a stronger force, and that we are not only doing that for our own personal evolution, but also to create fields. And there, I really believe that. So the one thing is there's so many different paths to go, but many paths are not radical and are only touching very much on the side, the spiritual, touching it, but having the identity all the time in that human ego, in that human thing, which is just, for some time. And there, I think it is worthwhile, not doing a halfway, but a full way, and really deciding to be the whole, go the whole path.
Well, this
Whatever
makes
the path is. This is, where the Buddhist mantra, gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha, is like to really become part of that solution, become part of that that energy. That's the one thing I like to share, because whatever the path is, it takes more than just a little bit of diet. This is what I am guarding on Schwalbenart.
yes.
On Schwalbenart, many times the tendency was to get lost in the business, to get lost in the permaculture, to get lost in whatever we personally have, And that my duty was and is still to say, we are not that. We are more than that. We are something much more than that. And this is what we need to identify. This is where we have to really stay on duty. That's where the real spiritual path is there. And it is nothing with better and less good. It is just in order to create that consciousness on the planet, we need to do that step.
Thank you very, very much for your wise words, for your presence, for your wonderful
Thank
smile.
you so much for being together. It
For
was
your
great
wonderful,
fun.
for your
Looking
wonderful
in your
smile
eyes is
also.
great.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this was the podcast to restore your faith in humanity. Dear listeners, I hope that you will join us in a next episode. We plan to have an interview with Dries Engels and his son Roman. Roman is 14 years old and was born deaf. But Roman is also a very gifted and sensitive boy who dreamt about a plant that could cure him and other people of hearing impairment. Roman and Dries are bound to go on a perilous journey, a quest for the resonance plant into the Amazon forest. Now hear everything about that in our next episode. Thank you for listening. We hope to meet you here again.